At 38, I still felt a surge of pride whenever I caught my reflection. The years had been kind to me, thanks to my dedication to fitness, skincare routines, and maintaining a wholesome lifestyle that kept my youthful allure intact. Though Nathan never failed to compliment my beauty, his frequent absences due to work commitments often made those words feel distant. That morning was no different. He had departed early, leaving me to savor the tranquility of an empty house, a perfect opportunity for some self-indulgence. Craving relaxation, I decided to pamper myself with a shower. The therapeutic combination of warm water and a bit of self-care always lifted my spirits. I entered the bathroom, applied a face mask, and stepped under the shower's welcoming stream. As the warm water cascaded over me, I attempted to empty my mind of thoughts. Post-shower, I slipped into my favorite red lingerie, a color that had always been my signature choice. Something about red made me feel both powerful and sensual. While towel drying my hair, I gazed at my reflection in the bathroom mirror, removing the mask from my face. A thought flickered through my mind as I studied my appearance. Nathan would have appreciated seeing me like this. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more engaging real-life stories. Stay tuned until the end, because this story takes an unexpected turn that you won't want to miss. In that moment, Ethan's presence had completely slipped my mind. Nathan's son had recently returned home after facing some personal challenges, but I hadn't quite adjusted to having him around. The house had been just Nathan and me for so long that I'd forgotten about our new house guest. The sudden opening of the door jolted me from my thoughts. There stood Ethan. I nearly let out a scream. He stood awkwardly in the doorway, his eyes darting everywhere but at me as he tried to process the scene before him. Clara, I apologize. I noticed the door was open. I was planning to shower, he stammered, embarrassment evident in his voice. Our eyes met briefly, and the gravity of the situation descended upon us. I reflexively reached for the towel, but the damage was already done. Ethan's face had turned crimson, and an unusual electric tension filled my body. Ethan, didn't anyone teach you to knock? I managed to say, my voice trembling despite my attempt to sound composed.
Yes, sorry,
he mumbled, before quickly shutting the door. But the incident couldn't be undone. Those brief moments had disrupted the normalcy of my life, turning everything on its head. Surely this was just an innocent mistake, right? Yet why was my pulse racing? The fact that Ethan had seen me in such a state had ignited an unexpected thrill within me. Despite my embarrassment, there was an underlying excitement I couldn't deny. As I moved to secure the door, my thoughts kept returning to that moment, stepping out of the shower and catching Ethan's gaze. I'd never experienced such vulnerability, such raw exposure. The sensation was peculiar, a mix of mortification and an inexplicable thrill that coursed through my veins. For several moments I remained in a daze, barely processing what had transpired. As if drawn by an invisible force, I found myself approaching the mirror. The red lingerie hugged my curves perfectly, creating an almost ethereal glow against my skin. Despite being in my late 30s, my body had maintained its youthful appeal. The passing years had been remarkably kind to me at 38, bestowing me with a mature yet vibrant allure. It wasn't just about physical appearance. My features remained vivacious, from my lustrous hair to my expressive eyes. Regular workouts had kept my muscles toned, while my skin retained its suppleness and unblemished quality. This reflection served as a powerful reminder of my vitality. Yet, as I studied my reflection, my thoughts inexplicably drifted to Ethan's penetrating gaze. I found myself wondering about his perception of me, his thoughts, the way his eyes had traced my form. My rational mind attempted to suppress these musings, but they persisted stubbornly. Examining myself critically, I felt a surge of pride in my physical attributes. The red lingerie enhanced my appeal considerably. Unbidden, memories of Ethan's occasional appearances in nothing but a towel post-shower surfaced in my mind. A sudden spark ignited in my eyes at these thoughts. Ethan had always possessed striking good looks, with an impressive physical presence that was hard to ignore. However, as this new awareness of him emerged, other emotions began stirring within me. My curiosity about him deepened, accompanied by unfamiliar feelings. What had previously been mere physical appreciation was now resonating on a deeper, more visceral level. I caught myself holding my breath while watching him, only to be jolted by an internal voice of conscience whispering, "Nathan." Yes, Nathan. My 47-year-old husband, the successful businessman whose work consumed him entirely, leaving little time for us. Lately, I'd been questioning the foundation of our marriage. Were we genuinely content, or had I simply grown accustomed to the solitude? Nathan's recent emotional distance was palpable. Following his extended business trip, his indifference toward me became glaringly apparent. Despite my efforts to rekindle our connection, the warmth we once shared had dissipated. Nathan's professional commitments left no room for our relationship. Tonight seemed no different from any other. Nathan returned from work, shared dinner with us, then delivered an unexpected announcement. "We're attending a party tomorrow." This news felt like a welcome distraction from my recent tumultuous thoughts. Indeed, a party presented an opportunity to reconnect with Nathan. Weeks ago, when I first learned about this event, I had envisioned a romantic evening together. I had imagined spending quality time with him, capturing his attention, and creating a spark of excitement between us. But then Ethan interjected with his announcement. "I have a flight scheduled for tomorrow evening," he stated. "I'm heading out to visit a friend. You two should attend the party without me. I'll be airborne by the time you return home." That was quintessentially Ethan, spontaneous and carefree. When I reflected on his youthful spirit and unburdened lifestyle, I realized how effortlessly such decisions came to him. Nathan, in stark contrast, was so immersed in his professional world that such matters barely registered on his radar. The party invitation still stood, but Nathan's eyes held that familiar distant look I'd noticed these past weeks. Nevertheless, I was determined to show my investment in our relationship. I decided to make an extra effort with my appearance. I selected a crimson dress that accentuated my curves while maintaining elegance, carefully applied my makeup, and styled my hair meticulously, all in an attempt to catch Nathan's eye. However, the evening took an unexpected turn after the party. Despite my carefully curated appearance, my hopes for an intimate evening with Nathan were dashed. He announced his plans to meet colleagues under the pretense of a business meeting, leaving me to return home alone. Once again, I found myself in solitude. Alone. Something within me shattered. I couldn't precisely identify the emotion, but that night brought overwhelming sadness. The anticipated moments with him had slipped away like sand through my fingers. I returned home, intoxicated and isolated. I felt utterly devastated. Upon reaching upstairs and removing my attire, the cruel irony struck me. After all the preparation and anticipation of a romantic evening with Nathan, I was left standing in nothing but black lace undergarments. My frustration intensified. The carefully chosen red dress, the meticulous makeup, all had been in vain. An emptiness engulfed me, and my anger began to simmer. Yet I knew I needed something to help me navigate through this emotionally charged night that left me feeling so broken. I made an impulsive decision to head downstairs. Perhaps a drink or a cigarette would help. I desperately needed to clear my thoughts, to find a moment of peace to compose myself. I approached the refrigerator, poured myself a drink, retrieved a cigarette pack, and lit one. The smoke left an unusual rawness in my throat. Everything seemed to have come to a standstill tonight, with reality staring me directly in the face. Then, something unexpected disrupted my solitude. A footstep caught my attention, causing my eyes to dart toward the kitchen entrance. Ethan! He was home. His unexpected presence left me completely bewildered, unable to comprehend when or why he had returned, leaving me momentarily paralyzed with surprise. I had been so consumed with thoughts of a private evening with Nathan that Ethan's sudden presence created an unexpected stir within me. His original plans had fallen through when his friend's flight was canceled, a possibility I hadn't even considered. Now we stood facing each other in the kitchen, and I found myself frozen in confusion. His presence there, just meters away from me, felt surreal and jarring. The black lace lingerie I wore made me feel particularly vulnerable. It wasn't exactly how I'd planned to be seen. I inhaled deeply, averting my gaze as embarrassment washed over me. "I'm sorry, Ethan," I managed to say, my voice unsteady. "I didn't expect to see you here. This situation, it's more awkward than I anticipated." I kept my head down, avoiding his gaze. The tumult of emotions inside me was impossible to articulate, yet Ethan remained remarkably composed as he moved closer. Something in his expression shifted subtly. After a brief silence, he asked softly, "Clara, why are these tears? What's troubling you so much?" His tone carried an unusual weight, more earnest than I'd ever heard before. His gaze seemed to penetrate straight to my core. As he reduced the distance between us, his smile emerged. Not just on his lips, but radiating through his eyes as well. My thoughts were spinning because I suddenly realized he wasn't just hook. The effect wasn't merely physical. It ran deeper, emotional. While my feelings were in désordre, something entirely new was awakening within me. The authenticity in Ethan's eyes drew me forward instead of making me retreat. His words intensified my inner turmoil. I slowly raised my eyes to meet his, finding genuine concern in his expression. The intensity of his gaze suggested a connection that transcended the physical space between us. In that moment, my vulnerability surfaced completely. The disappointment of my ruined plans overwhelmed me, and tears began streaming down my face. Ethan moved closer, whispering, "Clara, do you realize how beautiful you are?" His words simultaneously soothed and startled me. "Set up. I've seen how Nathan's work has been keeping him from giving you the attention you deserve," he continued. "But you're extraordinary and beautiful, and you shouldn't be denied this evening." Though his words offered comfort, they couldn't fully settle my turbulent emotions. The complexity and intensity of my feelings, combined with our proximity, made it impossible for things to return to normal. Ethan's gaze was so profound that I found myself lost in its depths. My mind seemed to pause, and I unconsciously took another step in his direction. He remained motionless, visibly taken aback by my approach. I noticed his expression shift, and the emotions churning within me defied comprehension. Everything unfolded rapidly after that. The internal struggle I experienced merged with an overwhelming urge to kiss him. For a brief moment, all I desired was to eliminate the distance between us and surrender to the moment. Then, acting on pure instinct, I pressed my lips against his. The action was so swift, I hadn't given myself time to process it. As my eyes drifted shut and our lips connected, time appeared to stand still. The warmth that enveloped me, My racing heartbeat and the tension coursing through his body, all these sensations made everything else fade away instantly. I could sense Ethan's anticipation as he waited for me to deepen the kiss. His passionate response was evident in the warmth against my lips. As his hand gradually found its way to my waist, any remaining space between us vanished. The complicated emotions I had been grappling with transformed instantly into pure, unbridled desire. The sound of his breathing prompted me to press myself closer. We moved from the kitchen toward the living room in a fluid motion, our lips remaining locked. Each step caused us to collide with the walls, intensifying our embrace in the heat of the moment. As Ethan's hands explored my body, we continued our collision course with the walls until we reached the living room door. Somehow, we found ourselves on the couch, side by side, struggling to catch our breath. His pants remained discarded in the kitchen near the couch, while my black lace underwear lay scattered on the floor. Though I recognized the peculiarity of the situation, I had completely surrendered to the moment. Opening my eyes, I gazed at him between deep breaths, noting how quickly events had escalated. He read the expression on my face and offered a subtle smile. His eyes still reflected the impact I had on him. Drawing a deep breath, he met my gaze and asked,
Clara, what just happened? Why did we do this?
Slightly surprised but somewhat relieved, I followed his line of sight. Words failed me initially, but I knew I needed to respond. It just happened spontaneously, I replied, meeting his eyes. But honestly, I'm not sure. I simply needed to release these pent-up emotions. I couldn't imagine spending this night any differently now. Ethan nodded, running his fingers through my hair.
Is it really wrong for us to be this intimate?
He questioned softly. His hands traced my waist, his exploring fingers leaving an increasingly profound impression with each moment. My breathing grew shallow as our eyes locked. He inhaled deeply before leaning towards me with deliberate slowness. When he spoke, his words carried the weight of confession.
I was betrayed, Clara.
Life had become unbearable, but now, in this moment, everything feels completely transformed. His words resonated with unexpected authenticity, bringing me a sense of comfort I hadn't anticipated. As he moved closer, I found myself drowning in the depths of his gaze. This connection I feel with you is overwhelming. These emotions catch me off guard. But I can sense you, Clara. You feel so near. My emotions swirled together chaotically, my heart pounding against my chest. Ethan's words reflected the complexity and peculiarity of our situation, yet something undeniable existed in that moment. The proximity, his approach, his gradual movement toward me, I felt it all. Processing my thoughts aloud affected me in an unexpected way. Slowly reconnecting with his gaze, I confessed, I experienced such solitude, Ethan. I truly was alone. But now everything has shifted dramatically. For the first time, I'm experiencing these sensations, youthful, thrilled, and disoriented. Something is transforming, I explained, my voice unsteady. Articulating my emotions proved challenging, but Ethan's impact on me was undeniably real. Suddenly, the door swung open. A voice called out, "Clara!" Nathan appeared in the doorway, his expression frozen in disbelief at the scene before him. In that instant, everything ceased moving. Time stood still. Ethan and I remained locked in each other's gaze, paralyzed with uncertainty. Nathan struggled to comprehend the situation unfolding before him. His face contorted with shock and fury. His eyes widened as he held his breath momentarily. Then Desordre erupted.
"What in God's name is happening here?"
he demanded, his voice harsh and enraged. The situation spiraled beyond control immediately. Nathan's voice thundered through the space. The intensity of his anger seemed to make the house foundations tremble. His eyes blazed with fury and betrayal.
"What the heck is going on here?"
he repeated. But the question quickly became secondary to the raw anger and bitterness etched across his features. He turned toward Ethan, gesturing wildly with trembling hands.
"Get out of here now! You have no place in this house anymore," he growled. "She's my wife. She's your mother. You shouldn't have involved her in this mess."
"What were you thinking? How dare you both disregard my existence like this?" I stood there, paralyzed, unable to form words as shock coursed through my body. Tears threatened to spill from my eyes, but I held them back in that moment. Nathan's accusations pierced through me, making me feel as though everything was my responsibility. What could I possibly say? How could I respond to such raw anger?
"Why, Clara? Why would you do something like this?"
Nathan's voice grew more intense. What did I do to deserve this? How can anyone willingly destroy their family like this, losing both a husband and a son? You looked straight at me and deceived me. That's all I could feel, shattered completely. Yet I remained silent, my eyes brimming with unshed tears. Despite the overwhelming sadness, words failed me entirely. I knew deep down that nothing would ever be the same. Nathan's voice cut through the silence.
"That's it. That's enough. Get out. You two don't belong here anymore."
He began pushing us toward the exit. Ethan and I exchanged a knowing glance. We remained silent for what felt like eternity, but we both understood the turmoil churning inside us. Finally, Ethan spoke softly. "We should leave." I agreed quietly. "Yes, let's go." As we stepped into the night, tears began flowing freely. The weight of guilt was too immense for mere tears to wash away. My thoughts were scattered, directionless, lost. Everything had unraveled so quickly. I'd acted impulsively. Now I was drowning in the consequences of my actions. Standing beside Ethan, contemplating the pain I'd caused, consumed me entirely. "How could I have done this?" I murmured, hiding my tear-stained face behind my hands. What words could explain this to Nathan? How deeply had I betrayed his trust? Each step forward deepened my remorse. I felt completely lost, yet somehow believed these emotions would eventually fade. When Ethan moved away, even that separation offered a tiny spark of hope, however brief.
"Go ahead.
Do it. Nothing will ever be the same for me," I whispered. Watching his retreating figure, I took another step into my uncertain future. This solitude, despite its darkness, would eventually lead me to light. For a brief moment, I inhaled deeply, finding unexpected strength within. I would survive this. Somehow, I would rediscover myself. Everything would begin anew. If you followed along until now, I know this story has captured your attention. I'd love to hear your perspective on this journey of self-discovery and redemption. Please take a moment to follow along, enable notifications, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's engage in a meaningful conversation about this story.